Snipers, you have to see what's happening in the Bitcoin price right now as I'm about to head out to breakfast. But our Bitcoin long position at 29,560 has already hit its first three profit targets, with Bitcoin getting back above 30,100. And notice how our liquidation price at 26,431 is even below the all-time low for this year, which is at 26,700, which is why I believe it is a great time to be looking at long positions. At this point, for my position, I am keeping my stop at break even because it looks like when we dive into the chart, Sniper, smash the like button for the YouTube algorithm if you support these quick morning updates. Bitcoin right now is trying to get above its previous weekly open. And so I maintain myself in the long position. And I say that confidently because so far we have yet to see any further lows. It looks like we're starting to stair step our way up. And you can see we held above our weekly open at 29,400. And now that we're testing this previous weekly open at 30,300, that is the major Sniper's resistance level. And of course, getting above 30,293, the previous weekly open, hourly and 4-hour candle confirmations confirms a move back to test the monthly open around 32,000 US dollars. And so what we are waiting for right now is a confirmation above 30,293. And because I'm with you, Snipers, I might as well just quickly talk about how the outside revolving parts are looking right now. But it's only 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, and so there is 6 hours left more for this session. And so what I'd like to see is calmness here. If we look at what's happening to the DXY, you can see we are starting to pull back already. After testing that 50-day moving average, we're expecting the DXY to come and test its 20-week moving average, which sits below the current price action. And we had a very bearish weekly candle that closed last week. So it looks like there's more downside left for the DXY. We're already seeing that pull back. If we look at what's happening to the S&P 500, you can see it doesn't look the best, I'd say, on the smaller time frames like the 3-hour. We're coming back to test lows. And so if Bitcoin does end up coming to stop me out at break even, then I may consider re-entering a long position at a different level. But I think so far it would be fair to say maintaining our stop loss at break even if we entered, or if you entered into the long position around the weekly open, or a long position anywhere within this area below the weekly open, it would be wise to probably hold on to that right now, because we could be seeing this move continue to mature. Since our thesis has been correct so far, the weekly open has held really well. One reason we had that thesis was that Ethereum and Bitcoin chart did not form any further lows. But you can see we are starting to see more weakness here, so I'd still be cautious with altcoins. That's why I'm sticking to long positions on Bitcoin right now. And then if I do entertain short positions, I'll look at altcoins for that. And if we look at Bitcoin dominance right now, you can see it's quite calm, just up 0.35%. So the Ethereum to Bitcoin chart is, I guess, one puzzle piece that is not necessarily doing the best. What we're really looking for here is for the Ethereum to Bitcoin chart to come back up and test 65,000 Satoshis, so that we know that at least that this major support that got its first test as resistance. And then we could be a little bit more cautious with long positions there for Bitcoin and maybe entertain some short positions. So this would be a leading indicator for that. But it is seeing continued weakness. So what if we see another drop down before that test of 65,000 Satoshis? I think that's on the table, which is why I'm still cautious with altcoins. And then I'll say this, gold is starting to move up. And for those that watch gold, you can see it looks like it's trying to make a move right now and to potentially test the $1,900 area, where we did come down recently to a low, actually below 1,800. And so with the recent sell-off in equity markets and the cryptocurrency market, gold also sold off below 1,800. Now it's coming back towards the 1,900. I think it's something to watch just with sentiment and institutional money. Maybe they're starting to flee to some sort of safety. And so that could be a early indication of what's to come. But I can't make a bold statement right now on some of the equity markets just because it's so early in the day and things could change really quick. But things are not looking the best. They still look bearish on the smaller time frames. So maybe some downside is on the table here, and that could even push Bitcoin down a bit. But recently with Bitcoin moving down, it also pushed the Bitcoin to SPY chart down. But what's interesting about this chart to me is that our breakdown candle from yesterday on the daily chart was not able to surpass the lows of the breakout candle, indicating some bullishness because that's a higher low here. And so I think that also maintains our thesis that Bitcoin could stair step its way back up above 30,000 confidently. And then we'll wrap up and just look at Bitcoin, of course, because I want to make sure I give you snipers the best view here. And it is the morning time for me. I'm not used to making videos in the morning, but if I have to get an update out, I'm going to update you snipers. So remember to smash the like button for the YouTube algorithm if you support this content. It is really good to be back with you guys. And so with Bitcoin, I'll wrap up here. We are playing inside of a range with a very important support at the weekly open, and that's sitting at 29,500. And we have a resistance of 30,300 right now. So this is a very tight range. And if we can get confirmations above the previous weekly open at 30,293, I think that would be the early signs that Bitcoin is at least ready to test the monthly open. That sits right around 32,000 US dollars. And that would be a nice move to help us get towards the most important resistance, which is 34,788. And so that test of 34,788 is really what we're looking for right now, because that's what's going to determine whether we're going to see a real reversal in the more macro trend and maybe start to see some green weekly candles consecutively. When it comes to breaking this weekly open, the most important level right now is the $25,000 level to the downside. But our thesis on the Snipers channel has been that the Luna bottom at 26,700 is a psychological bottom where we'll never come down to test those lows ever again. And so let's see, for the downside, I think 28,000 is still the strongest support. We don't want to see Bitcoin get below 20,000, obviously, because that would start to open up that door to 25,000. But so far, we've held it strong. We really only came below it one time, and that was during the Luna bottom. And since then, we haven't came down. We've tested right above that level, but shortly after that, moving towards 32,000 already. And so our thesis right now is that for this move, we get above that previous weekly open, we have a test of this macro resistance level where the bears could say that maybe a rejection comes here, maybe we see some short positions come in here. So the bears have a case to make that there's a rejection here, and that would be right now right around $32,000 to $33,000. And so the bears do have that case to make, which is why I think it's a likely scenario. But if we get above that level, come towards 34,788, we all know what that means. That's a major snipers resistance level. So with that, thank you all for tuning in today. I hope you enjoyed this in-depth update. I had a little bit more time, and so it was good to go in-depth on the charts. Still very early in equity markets, so I can't have a very confident position on that just yet. But things aren't looking good on the micro time frames. But our thesis is more of a macro thesis right now, with the DXY on the monthly chart closing bearish and coming down already to test the 50-day moving average, but the 20-week moving average just below it. Why wouldn't it come down towards that level? The DXY coming down indicates the assets could at least breathe and have some room to relieve themselves after all of this downside. And our expectation is at least Bitcoin can get towards 35,000 before we test 25,000, if we're going to test 25,000. And so that's been what my stance has been. I haven't moved away from that. I believe that Bitcoin is more likely right now in the immediate short term to test 35,000 US dollars before it tests 25,000 US dollars. And I maintain that position. And with that, thank you all for tuning into the Snipers channel this Thursday. Tomorrow markets will be wrapping up, and so we will cover that as it goes. And so the weekend is going to be very interesting. And with that, thank you all for tuning in today, and I'll see you next time, Snipers.